All right, welcome into the Johnston RV Center Saturday preview. It is week number 8. It is the third Saturday in October. That means Alabama is on the road at Tennessee. Auburn is on the road at Missouri. Georgia and Texas in another top 5 matchup. We got a great day of college football ahead. Dunaway and Lance both on their way up to Knoxville. We may check in with them a little bit later on, cell service permitting. So it's going to be a little bit of a different Johnston RV Center Saturday preview this week. A couple of guests are going to join me. Trey Wallace of Outkick is going to join me. Kyle Rush from thebarnauburn.com and Clint from covercrimson.com. All going to come on the show. So we'll talk a lot of Auburn-Missouri and Alabama-Tennessee and the SEC and national picture with Trey. A reminder, JohnstonRVCenter.com brings you the show. I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Always online at JohnstonRVCenter.com. Travel trailers as low as $149 a month. Fifth wheels starting with $45,000 and more in savings there. So you can get a great deal right now at Johnston RV Center, JohnstonRVCenter.com. All right, Trey's going to join us now. Trey Wallace, national college football writer for Outkick, joins us on the show. Good morning, Trey. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well today.
Good morning. Doing good, man. Ready, set up for the third Saturday in October. And then, man, we get a fantastic nightcap with Georgia and Texas. So it's going to be a fascinating day, buddy.
Yeah, I agree it is. Let's start with that Georgia-Texas game. Right now at MyBookie.ag, Texas back down to a 4.5-point favorite as I look this morning. It's been as high as 5. Let's start there. Boy, you don't see Georgia under Kirby Smart as this big of an underdog very often. We were discussing on the show, Lance thinks it might go all the way back to 2016, Trey. So it's been a good run since he has been this type of an underdog in any game, much less a conference game.
I wonder what type of rallying cry that is for Kirby Smart. I don't think he's throwing out point spreads or anything in the locker room. But no, this is going to be one of those games where, once again, Georgia's going to be tested on the road. And if they come out and they play like they did in the first half against Alabama, Quinn Ewers and them are going to make them pay. And then I don't know, in my thinking of it all week long is Carson Beck, in that spot where he is good enough to go. And if this team gets down 10, 14 points, and I know what he did against Alabama, but I'm saying Texas is a little bit of a different animal when it comes to offense. So if you're trying to get into a shootout with the Longhorns, how is that going to play out for Kirby them? I look at it as I think people are kind of sleeping on Georgia's defense a little bit. Get after Quinn Ewers in the backfield. And then at the same time, with their secondary is, how do they shut down Isaiah Bond? I think that's the other one that kind of sticks out to me. So, look, this one, just when you kind of think, all right, Georgia's this underdog and they're 4.5-point underdogs, and okay, Texas is going to win this game. This is the type of game where Kirby Smart comes back and says, no, you're not taking over our reign yet. So I think that's what makes this one just so, fascinating in my book is, you're going to get a night game. Going to get in Austin, Texas. Georgia's coming in. I have seen so many videos of Georgia fans making the trek over to Austin and calling the dogs and barking and whatnot on the planes. This is one of those atmospheres and one of those games that we signed up for, I think, with this realignment. And I look at it as another opportunity for Texas to make a statement. But at the same time, I look at it as, hey, you guys are kind of forgetting about me over here in Athens, Georgia. Don't do that quite yet.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. The one thing I'll say about Texas is they are number one. I got no problem with them being number one. I'm just not quite sure how tested they are. And I thought they were. At one point, I thought that win in Michigan, Trey, was the best win of the season. And at that time, it probably was. We have since seen that Michigan team maybe not up to the caliber we thought they could be following up the national championship. Oklahoma is just so one-dimensional. They are so bad on offense. This is by far and away the first big test that Texas has had.
Yeah, no, and I don't know I don't know the benefits of last Saturday against Oklahoma besides stomping them. And I think that, and you look at it too, it's like, what did Texas defense really have to do against Oklahoma and Michael Hawkins? You just had to shut them down in the run game. That was it. You weren't going to get beat down the field by him. So I look at this and I think, okay, we talk about, is Texas tested enough? I think that easily we're going to find out tonight, but at the same time, it's really hard to kind of figure out what kind of Texas team this is, because like you said, you go to Ann Arbor and you win, but Michigan's really not good. You look at Oklahoma, they've got situations all up and down that roster. So, I mean, really breaking it down, this is their first big test of the season, and it comes at home against a Georgia team that I think is really, craving that moment to go out there and show folks that, look, this is still, a defensive animal. And we can still, look, we have Carson Beck, we have a running game, and we've got an offensive line, and we'll see if Tate Ratledge is going to be able to go tonight. It feels like he won't, but there's an opportunity for it if they need him. I just think that even after last week and giving up 31 points to Mississippi State, this is an opportunity for Georgia, and I think Kirby Smart's going to be well prepared for whatever Steve Sarkisian is going to try to throw at him. Now it's just up to the defenders to make sure it doesn't happen.
All right, let's talk about the game in Knoxville. Trey Wallace, Outkick, with us. You can get all of his work there. You will be in the stadium there in Neyland, third Saturday in October. Great historical rivalry. Love the Alabama-Tennessee game every year. For a long time, it was just not a competitive game. Nick Saban dominated whatever coach was rolling through Knoxville there, and that all changed 2 years ago, and all of a sudden this has become the game it was when you and I were growing up, right? When Alabama-Tennessee felt like it meant something, and it means a lot today. A lot of people that call this a playoff eliminator. I think that might be a bit strong, but you do run out of mulligans if you lose this game.
Well, you do, and I kind of look at this game as the same way as I did LSU versus Ole Miss last week. You're like, okay, is this the game where one of these teams kind of falls off the radar when it comes to the playoffs? And I know about and I wrote about it like with Ole Miss. Like, we can talk about the what ifs all we want. If Bama loses this game, okay, you better hope Vanderbilt runs the table and beats Texas. I mean, that's what you have to hope for. And you hope for Tennessee, doesn't fall off in the second half of the season and lose a couple. I do think we're in I think playoff eliminator is such a stretch, because this will be the second loss and anything can happen down the back half of the season. But at the same time, this does have a feel to it. This has a feel like, okay, like Tennessee, Alabama, they've lost some games they shouldn't have lost, and it feels like they're both struggling to find an identity as a team. I think Tennessee's defense has been the most surprising part to me this season. When it comes to, everybody was talking about the offense, but then it was the defense that has been the catalyst for this squad. And and look, with Nico, I think there have been times where, sure, the play calling has been a little bit of conservative, but he also hasn't hit guys down the field. And you have to wonder, okay, is the Alabama game the day that's going to start happening, when it comes to competitive play? And then on the other side, brother, it's, Jalen Milroe and getting outside the pocket and making plays. He just got to be more careful with the football and not turn it over. And I think at the same time, you look at the Alabama defense and, you can't get – I'm having a hard time remember the last time that I've seen an Alabama defensive line get pushed around.
Right.
And pushed around by Vanderbilt, pushed around by South Carolina. And you just have to wonder, is Tennessee's offensive line good enough to do something like that? I don't know, because they're still kind of flip-flopping along there. So when it comes to overall this game, just look, throw the record books out. It's third Saturday in October. Something crazy is bound to happen in this game, especially under these regimes with the coaches. And I think that, this is a perfect example of, why we love college football. And I know tonight is going to be the granddaddy with Texas and Georgia, but man, this Alabama-Tennessee game, there's a lot riding on this, and I think that both teams understand that, and I think we're going to get the best out of each one of them.
Tonight on ESPN, LSU goes to Arkansas. LSU a 3-point favorite, total of 56.5. Taylen Green, from all accounts, Trey, sounds like he's as close to 100% as he could be. Which is great news for Arkansas. This is a tough spot for me for LSU.
I am torn. I'm torn because this feels like one of those games where LSU goes on the road. I don't know if I even call it a trap game, seeing what Arkansas has done and beating Tennessee. The biggest thing is Taylen Green, to me. If he can make the LSU defense run around and try to, tackle him outside the pocket and not allow him to make plays down the field, to me, that's what's going to drive LSU to a victory here. But at the same time, I saw what LSU struggles were last week in the first half against Ole Miss. And it seemed like, okay, it finally clicked in the second half, and Ole Miss's defense was playing, pretty pedestrian man coverage. But this just has one of those feelings again where you're like, okay, LSU comes in, I get it. They're coming off to win over Ole Miss, but at the same time, Arkansas has been hanging around. And this just kind of feels like another one of those games. You're battling for the boot, man. And you can throw that out too. All the records. Like this is, I think Sam Pittman will have his team motivated. And I think at the same time, if you got at least 90% Taylor Green, I think that causes trouble for LSU. I'm taking LSU to win. I think this game is really close. I think it comes down to the fourth quarter, some of those classic LSU Arkansas type of games. But just don't be surprised if Arkansas pulls the upset and puts an end to LSU's playoff run.
At Trey Wallace _ is where you follow Trey on Twitter. At Trey Wallace _ He'll be at Alabama, Tennessee tonight. So some reaction from that and everything that happens in the SEC here in Week 8. You can read him at Outkick at Trey Wallace _ He'll have thoughts, I'm sure, also there on Texas and Georgia and Auburn and Missouri and LSU and Arkansas. All those big games. Hey, Trey, thank you, man. Enjoy the game. We'll catch up again soon.
Man, enjoy the Saturday. It should be a fun slate, even outside the SEC. So it's be good, and I appreciate you having me on, brother.
Yeah, buddy. Take care. That is Trey Wallace with us from Outkick. We're going to talk more about Alabama, Tennessee coming up. Lance is about to join us from Knoxville. A little different show, as I said today. Lance in Knoxville on his way to Neyland Stadium, Dunaway on his way to Knoxville. He's going to try to jump on, cell service permitting, at the end of the show. Kyle Rush going to join us in just a few moments. TheBarnAuburn.com. We'll talk some Auburn and Missouri with him. Clint Lamb going to join us a little bit later. We'll talk more Alabama, Tennessee with Clint as he is with CoverCrimson.com. I just want to remind you the show presented by a couple of great sponsors. It is the Johnston RV Saturday Preview. JohnstonRVCenter.com. JohnstonRVCenter.com is where you find them online. You can also find them I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Johnston RV Center. Right now, travel trailers as low as $149 a month. Great savings there. Also, Fifth Wheel. You want something a little bit bigger than a travel trailer? Fifth Wheels. They've got savings there starting at $45,000 and more there on the Fifth Wheels. You can get the warranty on anything that is new. It's a lifetime warranty on anything new or qualifying used from RV Warranty Forever. RV Warranty Forever. Make sure you are covered for a lifetime. They're at Johnston RV Center. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, JohnstonRVCenter.com. Also, don't forget Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken. You're at home now. You're not going to Knoxville. You're not going to Columbia, Missouri. You've waited a little too late to do that. You can still have a great tailgate at home with Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken. Champy'sChicken.com is where you find Sterling and the gang there. Champy'sChicken.com. And you can also find them right there at Highway 119 in Alabaster. Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken. All those great sides, the Mississippi Delta tamales, the great chicken fingers at Champy'sChicken.com. Champy'sChicken.com. Don't forget, you can play all the games we're talking about today, and I'm going to hit a few lines for you. MyBookie.ag code NextRound when you sign on at MyBookie.ag. You get that sign-on bonus where they double your initial deposit when you use code NextRound. Auburn, right now, this morning, a 4-point underdog at Missouri. 50.5 is your total there. That game's coming up at 11 o'clock on ESPN. Alabama this morning, a 3-point favorite in Knoxville. 57.5 is your total for the 2:30 ABC game. The Crimson Tide, a road favorite there. Also in the SEC, South Carolina, a road favorite this morning at Oklahoma. South Carolina favored by 1. Low total. They don't expect a ton of scoring there. The boys in Vegas don't. 41.5 is your total there. And Michigan, 4.5 favorite over Illinois. 44.5 is your total there for the CBS game. Let's talk some about this Auburn game. Kyle Rush is going to join us. You're not going to feel sorry for Kyle if you see his background because Kyle is not in Auburn. That's not Auburn, Kyle. I know Auburn. You're not in Auburn.
No, this is I'm actually in Columbia. That's the Missouri River behind us. It's beautiful.
It looks a lot better than I thought.
No, actually, I took my signing bonus from you guys. Very generous, and bought a condo down at the beach. So thanks. Yep. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. TheBarnAuburn.com paying off already. TheBarnAuburn.com is where you get all your Auburn information. Kyle, Brad Law, Zach Blackerby, the gang, they do such a great job there. And they give you great post-game reaction to press conferences, things like that. You can join for $1, see how you like it, thebarnauburn.com. Let's talk about Auburn's trip to Missouri. Starts the second half of the season. Maybe a reset after a bye week. I mean, that's what you're hoping, right, Kyle? If you're an Auburn fan, this bye week has just been a reset, and you're able to play a lot better in the second half than you played in the first half.
For sure. I mean, look, if you look at the statistics, Auburn's gaining more yards than they did last year, and they're giving up less yards than they were last year. So it's like the fine things, the small things that are what keeps tripping Auburn up. So Hugh said in his press conference this week, the game plan was basically installed on Monday for this weekend. So this whole week has been about communication, continuing to coach over those decisions, those small things that end up costing Auburn games. And you're hoping for a big bounce back, like you said, a reset for this weekend.
You know, we were challenged. One of our viewers, Bobby from Homewood, big Auburn fan.
Yeah.
A lot of people know Bobby. He challenged us to name the top 10 teams in yards per play in college football. And he said, I guarantee you'll miss one. And only because he said that did we say, well, I bet Auburn is the one we'll miss. In fact, it was. Now, look, stats can be misleading, but it's not as if this offense hasn't been productive at times. I mean, it's gotten in its own way a lot with the turnovers, something they have cut out. It has not led to wins, but 14 turnovers through the first 4 games, only one over the last 8 quarters of play.
Yeah, so that's a great stat to point out. And it's crazy because the offense is sort of almost predicated off of big plays, but you're not consummating them with points.
Right.
Total play. If you look at Auburn from a total play perspective, they're towards the bottom of the country or bottom of the conference. I think Alabama only has had less offensive plays this year, but the difference is Alabama is scoring. Auburn's getting big plays, but they're bogging down in the red zone, bogging down with untimely penalties, turnovers. Sustaining drives, to me, is what's going to help make this offense be able to get Jarquez more touches. I mean, everybody wants Jarquez to get more carries, get more, put the ball in his hands more. Well, he's getting about the same percentage of touches that most feature backs in the conference are getting, but your total plays are just way, way down. So continuing to figuring out ways to sustain drives, reducing penalties. That's what I feel like this theme of this whole bye week has to have been. And as you go to a tough environment in Missouri, and hopefully, sort of try to find some kind of momentum towards this back half of the season.
Because if you can grab a win here on the road, right, and Auburn's a 4-point underdog, I mean, this is going to be a tight game, I think. If you can grab a win here on the road, you start looking at the next month of football, and you're like, Kentucky's wildly erratic. I know it's a road game. Won't be easy. They got a great defense, but they're wildly erratic. I mean, they are good enough to play Georgia to within 1 point, bad enough to get drilled by South Carolina at home.
Yeah.
They lost to Vanderbilt. You don't know what you're going to get at. Now, Vandy's going to be a tough game, but it's in Auburn, and Vandy's not going to win every game. This is not, some sort of juggernaut that's going to win every game. You got La Monroe. La Monroe has had a pretty good season. I mean, you got some winnable games that stack up that you could get a little momentum going here.
Yeah, and Eugene Asante said it earlier in the week. He said, we feel, as a team, we don't feel like we're that far off. We feel like if we could just get that one, win, it could kind of snowball. And that's what I've been saying for, the past several weeks. It just feels like you just haven't quite figured out how to win. And if you can figure out, you can close a game out. It doesn't matter how it looks. It could be ugly. It could be pretty, whatever. As long as you can get one on the board, it seems like that confidence could build, especially with a lot of these younger guys that are playing, because Auburn's playing a ton of freshmen, to be able to sort of snowball and go on a little bit of run. They kind of did this last year at midpoint of the season, 3-3, won 3 straight. I think Auburn, I think this schedule kind of sets up to where you could, if you can get this one done, you could have a similar point where you at least scare bowl eligibility.
All right, thebarnauburn.com. You guys got a lot going on there, man. Y'all are just pumping out content left and right. The message board is fun. A lot of recruiting news, basketball getting started. You'll have some basketball content. You've already got basketball content, in fact.
Yeah.
So you guys been pumping it out there at thebarnauburn.com.
Oh man, the so far the community we've created is unreal. Like the total number of people that are engaged and conversing on the board is incredible. like you said, we have great insiders for recruiting. We got an awesome basketball insider that's basically almost like an extension of the staff. It's pretty great, the stuff we get there. And then, team news, Zach obviously has a lot of connections with the team members and coaches and things like that. So the info's there. But the community, to me, is what kills it. We do this Wednesday mailbag where my show on Thursday is completely driven by members, and we always have really, really good discussion. So I think it's, like you said, it's only $1 for a little bit longer to give it a shout, or to give it a shot. And if you hate it, you're only out $1, but I think you're going to love it.
I've paid $1 for things I hate a lot more than that.
For sure.
TheBarnAuburn.com. Join for $1. Kyle, Zach, Brad, the entire gang killing it over there. TheBarnAuburn.com, and go to their YouTube page and subscribe there as well. Set alerts so you know when they drop content there at The Barn Auburn YouTube page. All right, Kyle, enjoy the beach, enjoy Auburn-Missouri, and we'll catch up again soon.
Thanks, man.
All right, buddy, take care. That is Kyle Rush from TheBarnAuburn.com. We're about to head up to Knoxville with Lance. It is the Johnston RV Center Saturday preview, I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 indicator. It's where you find Johnston RV Center. Don't forget, every game we talk about, you can also play at MyBookie.ag. Code NextRound, MyBookie.ag, Code NextRound. Double your initial deposit there when you use Code NextRound at MyBookie.ag. Alabama is a 3-point favorite in Knoxville. That's where we find Lance Taylor. Very cabiny behind Lance. This is a very mountainous shot, Lance. I love it. How are you, man?
Yeah, I can't figure out how they did the Pigeon Forge Gatlinburg layout. Do you build the road first and then you figure out where you're going to put the houses? I can't tell you how many hairpin turns coming up the mountain. And the crazy thing is when we got 30 yards from the cabin, can't exaggerate. I'll send you the video. I'll get it for Forrester. We'll put it on Monday. But Mama Bear and the 2 cubs walking up the street. We didn't get in town till 10 p.m. And we stopped, videoed a little bit. They came up to the car. It was just really interesting, very surreal. But yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere right now. I say that we're 5 minutes away from any bad pizza or pancake house you want.
Or pancake. Yeah, you can get a pancake all you want up there. It was one of your greatest lines of all time. First time you ever went to Gatlinburg, I called you and you go, no, I think you were actually on the show. You said there's not a restaurant up here that doesn't have pancake in the name. I don't know what's going on.
Well, you can't find a vegetable in Gatlinburg. It's impossible. Unless you bring them with you, you can't find them. It's a carb nation up here.
You've been on Alabama, all week. This morning at MyBookie.ag, they're a 3-point favorite, 57.5. I assume nothing has happened here that makes you think any less of Alabama's shot at winning this game in Knoxville.
I'm not going to give it. So the scenario I'm in right now, obviously I'm up here with girlfriend, and one of my lifelong best friends is a Tennessee fan. His dad and uncle played for Tennessee. He played at Swanee, but he's a huge Tennessee guy from Nashville. And he recently got set up with a friend of ours that is a huge Bama fan. So we've got this dynamic. So we get up here. They were already up here, and we start talking. And the first thing she goes into is, Kalen DeBoer's got to learn how to dress if he's an Alabama coach. He was getting crushed last night. I'm like, the dude is 13-1 against ranked teams. I don't care. He lost to Alabama. If he loses tomorrow,
he lost to Vanderbilt. Yeah.
If he loses tomorrow to Tennessee with 2 losses in October, he needs to be gone. There's no reason Alabama should ever have 2 losses. And, this is from a really, really nice, intelligent Alabama fan, if you can say that SEC fans are intelligent, when it comes to gauging where a coach should be and what
intelligent, maybe not rational. Rational would be the word you look for there.
But I mean, this is where we are now. And I just really believe that Kalen DeBoer, and I like Josh Heupel. I think Josh Heupel is a really good coach. I think he's one of the best offensive minds in college football. And I think ultimately Nico might be the best player in college football in a couple of years. But I think right now where we are, I think Jalen Milroe is the better quarterback. I think Alabama's got the best unit on the field with their offense. And I think the best, by far the best coach in this game is Kalen DeBoer. So I do like Alabama minus the 3. I think I'm not going to say they make a statement. I think it's a really good game. I mean, this crowd, you've been up here before.
Oh,
crowd's going to play a factor.
Yep.
By the way, I am regulated to the upper deck.
Oh, no. You're going to have to sit upper deck?
Hey, get-ins are over $500. The ticket is going up.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I thought this game was also a little less.
They've got good tickets. I'm going to suffer for a little bit. I probably won't stay till halftime anyway. But yeah,
David says over under on Lance making it to halftime at the game. He just told you.
yeah,
take the over. He might see the start of the third quarter.
yeah. I'm working on an angle that maybe will be in one of those nicer, accommodations in the stadium. If
Right.
we get that, I probably would stay until fourth quarter at least. But I don't know if where I'm currently sitting, I doubt I will see past halftime.
Let's talk about a few of the games. How many plays you got up today? Lance'sLock.com. You've been hot this week. You owned it. Last week was not a great weekend for you. You owned it several times on the show this week.
Yeah.
But,
So I could easily be 10-0 this week. We're 8-2. We lost that under that we had in the Broncos Saints game, and that was a complete fluke. If anybody out there played that game, whether you had Saints Broncos over or under, watching the final 4 minutes of that game, that was a fluke that the game went over. Anyway, we lost that one. Last night we were 2-1. We had Florida State. I don't know how bad Florida State can be at quarterback.
Pretty bad.
But yeah, for you two. So we're listening to the car on the way up, and 3 consecutive possessions. I think it was in 5 plays. That kid turned it over 3 times. So Norvell decides to go with the other backup. He was so bad, you bring in the other guy that throws another pick. Like, I just couldn't believe how bad the quarterback play was. They lost by 7. So that was on one loser last night. We did have Oregon. We backed the Ducks. They get home 35-0. Oklahoma State, great game last night. These late Friday night games don't disappoint. So we ended up being 2-1. We're 8-2 on the week, and we've got 13 plays up for you, 13 sides. I did it again. Last week, I backed Washington at 11 o'clock. I am backing a team at 11 o'clock today. I don't know why I'm doing this. It looked too good, so I just rolled with it. But 13 plays.
All right. Now, it's an 11 o'clock game. Let's talk about some of the national games, if you don't mind here. Let's start with one of those 11 o'clock games. Indiana, 6.5-point favorite at home. Over Nebraska, 49.5 is the total for the Fox Big Noon kick. If you watch the show every day, Lance, you have bought into this Indiana team, and Coach Sig, you really like the way they play. Still haven't trailed this year, have they?
They have not trailed. They are one of 2 teams along with Army that is yet to trail. They're 6-0, not only straight up against the number. They've been fantastic. They've scored 40-plus in 5 consecutive games. They're averaging over 47 points per game, second right now in the FBS. Kirk Cignetti's done an incredible job. And I think Klatt referenced this, or Brock Heward. Somebody did a couple of weeks ago. At Big Ten Media Days, Cignetti was like, Michigan sucks, Ohio State sucks, get ready for Indiana. And people kind of laugh, like nobody was even around. But now Indiana is a team that you really have to take seriously, and especially if they win this game. This will be the best competition they've faced. I look at Nebraska. They really haven't played anybody outside of Illinois and Colorado. They walked Colorado off the field. Colorado is better than we expected. Curtis Work is playing incredibly at the quarterback position for Indiana. I do lean Nebraska to at least make this thing close. You're getting 6.5 in this spot. I stayed away from it. One of the reasons was it was an 11 o'clock game. I do like Nebraska in this spot. I'm hoping Indiana wins. I think it's a great story. But even if Nebraska wins, Nebraska comes out of this with 1 loss. They're probably ranked 15-20, and they're playing Ohio State next week. So, there's going to be a great story coming out of this game, whoever wins.
Michigan is a 4.5-point road favorite in Champaign. 44.5 is your total. 2:30 CBS game. Brett Bielema has surprised people this year. He's got to win on the road at Nebraska on one of those Friday night games you mentioned earlier. The Maize and Blue fall out of the top 25 in all likelihood if they lose this game. It will be a precipitous fall through 8 weeks from top 10, top 7 or 8, wherever they started, all the way out of the top 25.
I did play this game. It's a weird number. This thing is stretched out as high as 4.5. And Illinois is a really good team. Luke Altmaier is, played as well as anybody, maybe outside of Dylan Gabriel in the Big Ten at quarterback. I mean, he's been really, really good. He's only turned the football over 1 time. Illinois, not only a really stingy defense under Brett Bielema, the offense has actually been pretty good. I don't know. This is Jack Tuttle. Is he going to be able to infuse anything throwing the football for Michigan? They're so one-dimensional right now. They still have borderline elite defense. They are getting Colston Loveland back at tight end, maybe the best tight end in college football. I will say the best 2 tight ends in college football are probably in the Big Ten, Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren. Anyway, interesting game here. And you're right. If Michigan loses, they're out of the top 25, and that would be 9 teams that were preseason top 25 would be out.
Wow. I mean, it's been a bloodbath in the top 25 this year. It's what we've started to expect through 8 weeks of this season. Let's talk about the big game primetime, ABC 6:30. the third top 5 matchup we've had this year, as Texas, it has bounced around a little bit. Right now at MyBookie.ag, a 4.5-point favorite, total of 57.5. The road team has won these top 5 matchups, right? And that's what. Well, is that right? No, Ohio State did not win at Oregon. What's the other one I'm thinking of? You got.
Well, I will say this, and the numbers.
The home
crazy.
team won. I'm sorry, the home team won all of them. Is that right?
I don't have this in front of me, but straight up underdogs in the SEC have the best covering rate of any conference right now in football, and it's crazy how well dogs have performed right now in the SEC. You and I have talked about this. I cannot believe Georgia's catching 5 points in this spot. Everybody, by the way, the Alabama fan last night that was dogging out Kayla DeBoer was like, Texas by far the best team in college football. A lot of people believe this. I don't think they've been tested. And I do think something's off with Georgia. We talked about the fact that they've only forced 5 turnovers in 6 games, next to last in the SEC. They're averaging over 71 penalty yards per game, 3rd worst in the SEC. They're missing almost 10 tackles per game, which is the worst in the SEC. I mean, it's just not the Georgia defense, the dominant unit we've been used to. With all that said, since struggling in Lexington with that 1-point win over Kentucky, the offense has turned the corner. I think they're starting to identify guys like Bell and Lovett, and even ETN is playing better. So they've scored 31+ in the last 3 games. Carson Beck is averaging 380 passing yards over those 3 games. So I think the offense is fine. Defense has got to show up. And again, Texas hasn't been challenged. I don't know what you thought, but last week we backed Texas minus the 14.5. They got home against a depleted Oklahoma team that's not really good. But I didn't think Quinn Ewers played well. So I do think better coach, better quarterback again is the road team, and I'm catching 5 points here. So, and I've talked about this all week. So one of the reasons I'm kind of letting this out, I do like Georgia in this spot.
Yeah, it's hard not to. 4.5, 5, wherever you see it, it is hard not to like them in this spot. I don't know why this was so hard for me to present there, but it is the third top 5 matchup. Both have been won by home dogs. Georgia is a road dog, so we'll see if that trend is obviously going to change, but we'll see if a road team can finally win one of these. You think they do. All right, here we go. LancesLock.com. Been red hot this week, 8-2 so far, and 13 plays on the board today.
Yeah, 13 plays up for you, all sides. We've already got our NFL ready. We knocked that out last night, so we've got 5 plays tomorrow in the NFL, but 13 plays today. Looking for a 10-3, Brown, 10-3. Again, we're 8-2 rolling into the weekend. We need to make it a massive week. I told you guys that last week was a complete disaster. We try to own it. We try to be transparent. The worst week in the history of our business. So we bounce back strong, 8-2 right now. 13 plays up today. We are going to win for you. Jump on board, LancesLock.com. We've got a daily package. Obviously, the month is $100. Gets you everything, including the Major League Baseball postseason. But jump on board and win with us.
All right, have fun, man. Enjoy the game. Be careful coming back. We'll see you Monday.
See you, buddy.
All right, buddy. Take care. That is Lance. That is Lance Taylor from up in the East Tennessee area. Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, about to head over to the stadium. Dunaway on his way to the stadium as well. We'll check in with him in just a little bit. A reminder, Johnston RV Center brings you the show, johnstonrvcenter.com, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. That is where you find Johnston RV Center. You can go see all of the great selection they have in travel trailers starting at $145 a month. Fifth wheel savings over $45,000. They love the United States military the way we do on this show, and they want you to save as well. Just a very, very, very small token of their appreciation is to give you a discount at Johnston RV Center, whether you're active duty or retired veteran. They take care of you. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, johnstonrvcenter.com. Also, Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken. Great place to feed all that tailgate crew at your house today is champy'schicken.com. Heck, just go watch the game there. Highway 119 in Alabaster, always online, champy'schicken.com. Sterling and the crew do a great job there. Mississippi Delta tamales are our favorites. The chicken fingers are incredible. The sides are great. Desserts are great. You cannot go wrong with Champy's world famous fried chicken. All the lines we talk about are from MyBookie.ag, code NextRound. When you sign on at MyBookie.ag, they will double that initial deposit. That is what you get when you sign on with NextRound. Free money. You can play right away. Code NextRound at MyBookie.ag. Again, Alabama, a 3-point road favorite at Tennessee. They're at MyBookie.ag. Clint Lamb is part of the Cover Crimson crew. You see him all the time. He joins us now. I'm honoring you, Clint. I got a guitar in the background too.
Can you play it better than
I
me?
cannot. I
Okay.
cannot.
All right. Well,
My oldest daughter can play the guitar. This is her guitar, and it just got moved down here randomly. And when I saw it, I thought of you. I'm like Clint now. I got my guitar in the background.
it's been a prop for as long as I've been doing video, and I'm no better today at it than I was 2 years ago when I first put it back there.
Yeah. Well, trust me, this is nothing but a prop. I can't even strum it. Let's talk about Alabama and Tennessee. CoverCrimson.com is where you go. You can join for $1. You get great insight on Alabama, snap counts, recruiting information, all those great things, some film breakdowns. They've got great shows. Mick Gillespie, Clint, Stacey Blackwood, Mike Johnson, the former Alabama offensive lineman, all do a great job breaking it down. And you can join for $1, covercrimson.com for $1. Post game coming up right after the game. I'll jump on there with Mick and Clint and the guys. Alabama's a 3-point road favorite. And, coming out of the Georgia game, people had already started looking forward to this game. Unfortunately, they didn't account for what would happen against Vanderbilt and South Carolina. I think Alabama fans are hoping that has been flushed out of the system going to Neyland Stadium today.
Yeah, that's it's interesting because you were highlighting a lot of the bigger games on the roster or on the schedule, thinking, okay, how can Alabama get to 10-2 and get into the playoffs?
Yeah.
And now, I think Alabama fans at this point, based off what we've seen the last couple of weeks, are thinking, okay, every game's got to matter, and it really should. But I think Georgia finds himself in a similar situation going against Texas, where if you drop a second game, it doesn't mean that you're out, but your chances of making the playoffs at this point, it's a lot more difficult. So, going into Neyland Stadium, what Tennessee's kind of been doing as far as their up and down play, they've had some good moments, but I think the last couple of weeks has kind of exposed some problems for them. I guess it's a matter of who kind of can get those issues corrected the more between Alabama and Tennessee.
The one issue Alabama has not had is Jalen Milroe. Now, his interceptions, he had gone a long time without throwing one, and they've gone up the last couple of games. I think if you kind of look into those interceptions, the one against Vanderbilt, it was a ball he maybe threw into coverage a little bit, got tipped up in the air, and it turned into a pick six. The one at the end of the half against South Carolina at the end of the first half, I kind of, I think maybe he was put in a tough position there. That was a long third down, 11 seconds on the clock. Maybe in hindsight, you run the ball, go to the locker room. That interception never happens. The one he threw in the end zone, Clint, I think a lot of good quarterbacks make that throw. That was an exceptional play by a corner. So you look a little deeper in the interceptions. It's not like he's constantly putting the ball in harm's way right now.
Right. I mean, and I think the interception down near the goal line against Georgia too, like based off of where the defender was, the ball was actually put in a pretty good spot. It forced the tight end to kind of spin around, and it just bounced off his hands and right into the Georgia's defender. So, I mean, I don't think he's playing terrible football necessarily, but I do think that you got to avoid turnovers in this type of game. I think when you've got the kind of the home or the road crowd that you've got to be dealing with, you don't want to be handing them momentum or energy or anything like that, because then things can really start to stack on you. And we saw that. I mean, it was crazy a couple of years ago in Neyland Stadium, just the wave of emotions back and forth. Bryce Young, Hendon Hooker, Jalen White, just a wild game. I mean, part of me thinks this will be a little bit more high scoring than the current over under. I just think that with both the offensive quote unquote gurus, as the head coaches, I think they'll have really good game plans offensively. And I think both defenses, despite the fact that Tennessee is in a good place as far as statistically, as far as their defense, I still think there's some vulnerabilities that Alabama can take advantage of. So I wouldn't be shocked if it was a little bit more high scoring. So the turnovers matter. And that's what Jalen Milroe and really this entire Alabama offense, because earlier in the season, it was guys fumbling kickoff returns. Emmanuel Henderson, he fumbled one and didn't end up losing it, but Kendrick Law had a fumble. Jam Miller had a fumble earlier in the year. So just whatever they do playing in this hostile environment, they got to be able to avoid the turnovers. And that includes Jalen Milroe.
I do think, Alabama has struggled in the traditional run game. They have leaned heavily on Jalen Milroe in the run game, and they want to get the backs going. I do think you mentioned one name there that is key to that. Kendrick Law is a devastating blocker as a receiver. I mean, he takes guys out of the play in the run game, and getting him back will help in so many ways. They hand him the ball, they throw him the ball, but also you can't overlook his blocking in the run game. I think just having him back injects a little more into this offense right away.
Yeah, and I kind of compared it. One of the most obvious examples of what teams will try to do is Georgia. If they're ever in a second and long situation, they like to run a ton of tunnel screens, and they like
Yeah.
to set themselves up as far as favorable third down situations. When you've got a blocker out there like a Kendrick Law, when you're able to do some of that quick passing game, get it out on the perimeter, turn a first down into a very favorable second down, or maybe a second down where you a first down where you didn't get it as much as you would have wanted to on second down, being able to pick up a little bit of that. I think it keeps you ahead of the sticks a lot. And I think that's something that Alabama's been lacking at times. They've still found ways to get themselves in some favorable situations, but I think having that variety that they can throw at defenses, I think is absolutely huge. And for Jalen Milroe in particular, like his legs, what he was able to do from a running standpoint with Kendrick Law in the lineup versus Kendrick Law not being in the lineup is pretty substantial. I mean, it was like 268 rushing yards with Kendrick Law in the lineup and like 46 without him. And it's been like 25 carries to like 50 something. So it's about half, but it's just the production was there when he had a guy like Kendrick Law who could at least erase one defender out there on the outside. And then with his ability to extend, he could make a guy miss and make a lot of plays out there on the perimeter. So I'm expecting that to improve. I don't know if Kendrick Law will be 100% necessarily, but with the way that Jeremy Bernard was blocking against South Carolina, I thought he did a phenomenal job too. If you can get that out of both those guys, I think you can get a lot of plays done out there on the perimeter.
I was the idiot at the start of the year that said, look, Ryan Williams is a good receiver. He's going to be a freshman. Jeremy Bernard is going to lead this team in receiving. We're halfway through the season. I'm looking like an idiot for saying that. It's among many things I've looked like an idiot for saying. But Bernard's last couple games, this guy is rounding into shape too. It's becoming a really good 1-2 punch with he and Ryan Williams.
Yeah, and I think we don't talk about that enough. Like Jalen Milroe, his return, not only did he have to get used to a new system, a new head coach, new play caller, but I mean, all of his receivers from last year that he really got comfortable with, they were all gone. And then you had the only two guys who were returning that he was comfortable with in Kobe Prentice and Kendrick Law. Both those two guys have been either, out for half the game or out for the entire game for the last couple of weeks. And so I think, getting those two guys back is pretty big, but I think it's kind of, you see the chemistry with Jeremy Bernard really starting to grow and develop. And on top of what he already had with Ryan Williams, I think that gives Alabama a really great 1-2 punch where it's like, you want to give Ryan Williams probably some extra attention, but it's kind of like John Mechie and Jamison Williams a couple of years ago, where it's like, if you give them one, they're going to take the other. It's one of those situations that you don't want to find yourself in as far as, from a defensive standpoint. So yeah, I think they're both playing really good football. And I think that when you talk about Jalen Milroe's legs, you talk about the fact that the traditional run game has kind of been struggling. If they can get that going and they can really start to become a complete offense where they can kind of control games more, not just have offensive success, scoring points and putting up yardage, but being able to control it a little bit more, I think that this Alabama offense, and really that's going to make this Alabama team, pretty difficult to stop.
Who do you think and this sounds like an insane question to ask, but who do you think worries Alabama fans more right now from Tennessee's offense, Dylan Sampson or Nico?
It should be Dylan Sampson.
I mean, that guy, he's been a stud.
He's been incredible. And Alabama's kind of struggled, I think a little bit more with the run game than a lot of people had thought that they would. And just the way that Tennessee will spread you out to try to run the football, that's kind of their entire goal. They want to be able to take those vertical shots, and they want to spread you out to run the football. Alabama, I think a guy like Justin Jefferson with his athleticism, I think you can get maybe that quote-unquote extra defensive back, on the field as far as athleticism by having him out there, but also you still have that run presence in the box. I think, he could end up having a pretty big role. Sampson has been incredible, though, and I think he's one of those guys where, you can look to try to contain him, but in this style of offense, what you would have to commit in order to completely stop him is really going to present a lot of opportunities elsewhere. So I think it's about limiting him and his success, trying to win as much as you can with, as light of boxes as you can. And if you can do that, I think you can slow down or stop this Tennessee offense as a whole. But as we've seen the last couple of weeks, even though Tennessee's offense hadn't done a ton, Dylan Sampson has still gotten his. So, I'll be curious to see how Alabama attacks him today.
One thing I feel like, before you go, Clint, I don't know a ton about on this team is if it comes down to field goal kicking, we just haven't seen a lot of that this year for Alabama. It's just kind of weird. Like, and for so long, you knew Alabama was just fine with Reichard. no matter where they were, basically once they crossed the 40, you felt good about it. If this comes down to some key kicks, I mean, I know he was a Lou Groza Award winner, but boy, you've just not seen a lot of it.
Well, just the pressure. And I think going into Neyland Stadium, I mean, even a guy like Will Reichard, the best kicker in Alabama history, last time he was in Neyland, he missed a pretty big kick.
True.
And so, that pressure, I mean, with that crowd and everything, and that's what makes you concerned. And I don't think really either team should be settling for field goals, because even though I think both offenses have kind of had some up and down moments, especially Tennessee, I think that the game plan, like I said, I think it'll end up being a little bit more high scoring than we think. So anytime a few years ago, I think it was in 2020 when Alabama played Ole Miss, it was very back and forth. Offenses were just, neither defense could stop the offense. All it took was Alabama holding Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss to one field goal to create the separation needed to win that football game. And I don't think it will be that bad. It'll be that extreme. But, that's why I say, I mean, you don't want to give the other team any extra opportunities. And unfortunately, from Alabama's perspective, it's not that Graham Nicholson can't knock down some of those kicks, but I think he's kind of struggled in the transition as far as pressure kicking in Alabama versus Miami of Ohio. And now you're just going to amplify that even more. So if you can, just avoid putting the game on his shoulders as much as you can anyways.
Yeah. So far, they've done that. I mean, they really haven't had to too often settle for three. They've been able to cash in when they've gotten in scoring opportunities. So will be interesting to see, though, if that changes. Really good Tennessee defense today. All right, Cover Crimson. Let's talk about that real quick. Y'all got a lot going on over there. It is constant, as we talked about with Kyle earlier with the barnauburn.com. It is just constant content being pushed out there.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and our game day threads are by far, the most fun. Just the conversation that our subscribers are bringing to the table, questions. I'm in there, Stacy's in there, Mick's in there. We're answering anything that we can. Whether it be throughout the game, after the game. We love those game threads. And so that'll be going up, I guess, here in probably about an hour or two. And we'll go ahead and get it started. We'll be sharing all the pregame stuff. So if you haven't already, go subscribe.
Yeah, covercrimson.com. You can subscribe for $1. See if you like it. Also, make sure you follow the Cover Crimson YouTube page. Subscribe, set your alerts there on YouTube so you know when they've dropped content there, which is, by the way, constantly dropped content there on the YouTube page, Cover Crimson. A lot of great shows there. I mentioned Mike Johnson, Vern Funquist, Stacy, Clint, Mick.
Jake
Y'all
Coker.
got the post. Who's that?
Jake Coker as well.
Oh, yeah. That's right, Jake. How did I leave Coker out?
Yeah. It's like I told Mick earlier this week. And then they absolutely have delivered. But Mike Johnson and Jake Coker got some great Tennessee stories.
Oh yeah. And Jake got the spit cup and the stories to go with it, right?
That's right.
I love old Coker. So you can get that covercrimson.com. Join for $1. Covercrimson.com. And enjoy that. All right, post game coming up after the game. You and Mick, and I think I'm jumping on. Mick asked me to jump on there early, so we'll hash it out right as the clock hits 0.
I can't wait. Hopefully we're having a good discussion, but either way, we'll either be, trying to figure some things out as far as what went wrong, or we'll be celebrating what went right.
That's right. We'll do it right after the clock hits 0 there in Neyland. All right, Clint, thanks a lot, buddy. Good talking to you.
Absolutely. Good talking to you.
All right. Covercrimson.com is where you find Clint and the gang there. Johnston RV Center.com brings you the show. I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Johnston RV Center, travel trailers as low as $145 a month. Fifth wheel, savings $45,000 and more there at Johnston RV Center. Also, RV warranty forever. Make sure you've got that lifetime warranty on anything that is new or qualifying pre-owned. You can get that at Johnston RV Center. Also, Champy's world famous fried chicken. It is a great place to go today to watch games or just get some takeout and feed the family while everybody's watching games there at the house. ChampysChicken.com, Highway 119 in Alabaster, ChampysChicken.com. Quick check on a couple of other point spreads throughout the Southeastern Conference. Texas A&M, 19.5-point favorite over Mississippi State, 55.5 is your total at MyBookie.ag. Kentucky, a 1.5-point road favorite in the Swamp. Low total in that one, 41.5, as you might imagine. 645 SEC Network. I mentioned South Carolina, now a road favorite at Oklahoma, favored by 1. Slim road favorite there against Oklahoma as that game is played there in Norman at 11:45. Dunaway is on his way to the 2:30 kick there in Knoxville. Where are you in Little T now there, Jimmy D?
We just got off the interstate. We're in Lenore City doing 43 and a 35. There's some donkeys over to the right.
Okay.
Not Taylor. She's holding the camera. She's near right, far right in the pasture. Backroads, Tennessee, Brownies, where we are.
Did we hit traffic? Why are we Backroads, Tennessee, Lenore City? Why did we get off I-40?
Because that's what Waze said to do. And what's your motto?
Always go by Waze. They know more than you do.
Yep. So we're doing that. Our arrival time supposedly 11:18 Eastern right now, 30 minutes from our parking deck at Neyland Stadium.
Oh, that is fantastic. We just talked to Clint a lot about this game. Lance, too. Alabama, 3-point favorite. Lance feels good about Alabama still. He's picked them all week. You have felt the other way. Do you still feel something like 41-27 Tennessee as you drive through beautiful Lenore City, Tennessee?
I do. I just believe Alabama's challenges on defense is going to allow Tennessee's offense to find a sweet spot, the ability to not only run the ball with Dylan Simpson, but also Dylan Simpson, but also the ability to throw the football, to allow Nico to have some easy throws to get him out of the slump he's been in. And then just the atmosphere of this place. Winning on the road in the SEC is never easy. Neyland Stadium's a tough place when they've got a good football team, and I think they've got a good football team. 41-27 may be a stretch, but I do feel like Tennessee wins this football game.
Richard says, is Little T mad at Jim for picking Auburn in the pick 3? Little T from off the camera, are you mad at Jim?
I don't think she knew it until right now.
No, I
Okay,
did know it, but I had to stop. Like, I have to stop caring.
Okay.
I can't get so worked up. I can't put all my energy into that. I don't know. This camera's confusing me. I can't put all my energy into that and freak out every time it happens because it's not going to stop. So I'm just going to say, hey, it's fine. We're going to have a great day. Kind of great morning.
Mature decision by Little T there. I like that. So do you still feel that way? Dunaway Auburn this morning, a 4-point dog at MyBookie.ag, total of 50.5 up in Como.
Auburn by a field goal. I really do feel that. I think this Auburn team coming off a week off, refocus. They've been so close in all their other games. And I mainly believe Auburn wins this game, not because of what Auburn is, but because of what Missouri is not. And that's why Auburn wins this football game.
That's philosophical. I like that. Very philosophical. All right. Any other pick you want to make? Who else you like? LSU, 3-point favorite at Arkansas. Taylor Green, all the reports are as close to 100% as he can be. Who you like there?
There's the traffic. Wait, dang it, we missed it. Sorry.
We just went back over the interstate. Traffic was stopped. So good
See?
call by Waze.
Always trust Waze.
Always trust Waze. I've added absolutely nothing to this show, by the way.
You have not. You have not. That's okay though.
I mean, I've listened to 3 guests that are going to be at the game before me at the end. Now I know how hard it is to be the last guest on our show every week.
That's right. I don't know what else I got.
Nothing new to say.
What'd you think about Alabama basketball last night?
I enjoyed the heck out of that. I think they're pretty good. Pretty good basketball team. They're deep. Didn't play 4 good players. I love the atmosphere last night. I'm still a little hoarse from doing the game last night. So it was fun.
Yeah, fun time. We'll do it again week from Monday up in Huntsville when Alabama plays Memphis. They were a fun team to watch last night. All right, Dunaway, enjoy Knoxville. You and Little T will have it all at NextRound Live, on social media. EG out at a wedding this week, so Little T and Dunaway filling in there at NextRound Live. Enjoy the game, have fun up there, and we'll see what happens.
Wait, bye, Little T.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Have a safe trip. Stay out of traffic. Always follow Waze. All right, that's going to do it for the show. We'll be back with you live, thebarnauburn.com post-game and the Barn Auburn YouTube channel. After Auburn and Missouri goes final, that game kicks in a little more than an hour right now. Covercrimson.com. I'll jump in right after the game with Mick and with Clint. You can see that at Cover Crimson on YouTube, covercrimson.com, where you can join for as little as $1. And make sure you also, while you're here, give us a thumbs up on YouTube. And make sure you've subscribed to set your alerts for the Next Round YouTube channel. Follow us on social media at NextRound Live as well. Thank you to Johnston RV Center, johnstonrvcenter.com, and Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken for bringing you the show. We appreciate you guys joining us, and Clint and Kyle and Trey Wallace for joining us as well. It's been a fun show to do today. Hope you enjoy your college football Saturday. We'll see you post-game at thebarnauburn.com, covercrimson.com, and Monday morning at 9 o'clock on The Next Round. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy all the football.